please find your seat. Seems like we're missing quite some people, though. Klockan tre, eller hur? Ja, absolut. Absolut. Alldeles strax. In a second. So I think that we need to get this party started. Was the first words that popped into my mind. How are you feeling? Good? Inspired? A little bit full? Huh? You feel good? Absolutely, good. So you had some interesting lunch discussions, I assume. And the final thing that we are going to do today is to really share your thoughts and ideas together with the panel leaders that you had. So please come up and join me on stage, and then we will wrap this day up later on. So please take your seat wherever you like to sit. Is that comfortable? Yes. All right. So, with me we have Linus Lundström and Peter Sköld. They were in the red group discussing the social dimension. We also have Elinor Bomark and Ilona Metjainen. Correct pronunciation? Oh, perfect, yes. Discussing environment. And we also have Andreas Lind and Johan Berglund together with the crew that was talking about economy. First things first, I would like you to give us a short and sharp introduction of every one of you, so that we know a little bit more about who you are and your experience. Linus, would you like to go first?
Oh, well, hello. I have presented myself once already, but I can do it again. My name is Linus Lundström. I work at the Arctic Research Center at Umeå University. I have a background in political science, and nowadays I am doing my PhD studies in regional development and urbanization processes in sparsely populated areas. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah. And I'm Peter Sköld. I'm the director at the Arctic Center in Umeå. I have been involved in Barents cooperation projects for almost 20 years now, including the recently published Barents History book and the Barents Encyclopedia that you can see promoted outside here. And now I have also the intention to engage in the working group of research and higher education within the Barents cooperation. So I will stay in touch.
Hello everyone, my name is Elinor Bomark and I work at the County Administrative Board of Norrbotten. And I live here in Luleå. For the last few years, which is basically my entire professional life, I've been working with environmental monitoring here in Norrbotten and with what do you call it? Restoration, where we have found degradation or problems. And we make these restoration measures in projects, and we are planning to make restoration together with partners from all the Barents countries now, actually, restoring rivers. I also will be involved during the Swedish chairmanship in the working groups of water issues and nature protection, in the Barents Corporation.
And we can guess that you were in the environment group, right? Yeah. Perfect match. Ilona?
So, hi everyone. I'm Ilona Metjainen from Arctic Center, University of Lapland in Rovaniemi in Finland. So I work at the Arctic Center as a researcher. I am originally a human geographer, but I also work mostly on multidisciplinary or transdisciplinary projects. So I specialize on the use of scientific information or knowledge, especially concerning climate change, on societal and business-related decision-making. So while some of my projects deal with almost science fiction type of issues, such as geoengineering, so I'm also developing a climate service for winter tourism in northern Finland and My PhD is about a strategic adaptation to climate change. So actually this is the reason why some of you may have seen me before in these Barents meetings, because I've been collaborating with the Barents Arctic Council with the climate change work for a few years. I am actually originally from Lapland, and I studied in South Finland and also in northernmost Norway, and now I've been back in Lapland for 13 years. So I'm an example of those people who are from the Barents region and that have come back and have actually, well, I like my work, I like my life, so it's possible.
Thank you, Ilona.
Wow, your work sounds like super exciting. Let's just give the floor to you for like an hour. I would really like to listen. It would make it easier for us as well. My name is Andreas Lind. I am the Business and Development Director of the County Administrative Board of Norrbotten, so I'm a colleague to Elinor. In my department, we have a unit, the international unit, which hosts the Barents Cooperation. For one thing, we also host the Interreg Cooperation, the North Calotte Cooperation, and the Arctic Dimension. There's, like we say, there's many layers on the onion here in the far north, and a lot of interest in this area, of course. I've been working with this. I've been in the County Administrative Board since 2014. Prior to that, I was the president of the local Chamber of Commerce, and have been working therefore with Barents issues since 2004, I think, seeing how it has developed, how it has sometimes declined a bit, and how it has further developed on. And it's widely interesting, and it's been a big bit of my professional career as well. So I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you. Johan?
Berglund Johan, teacher, Bruk alumni, 8 years of Barents projects, everything from entrepreneurship, culture, participation, and hosting.
Yeah, passionate about the youth as well. Yeah.
Of course, that's why I'm here.
So you have all been assigned to discuss different subjects, and I thought that we make it one subject at a time to keep it like more efficient. And who wants to start?
We'll start.
Economy starts?
Yes.
So what was the main thing that you discussed in your economy group?
Well, initially, you can start out, Andreas.
Yeah, exactly. We had a plan of this, and that's that since we're talking about youth and having the youth perspective as well, my plan was actually to say that it's very important. I think one of the most important thing when dealing with what's good and what's best for the youth to develop, regardless of what the area, is to pass the power on. And one thing I can do at least is pass the mic, but now you had to pass it to me. So, so because we was told that I was going to do the summary, but I think it's better for you, and who is at least a bit younger than me. To some of you in the audience, he's really old, but we thought that maybe you do the summary, and I think that's one thing we all should do all the time. Just give the voices to the younger ones.
So, with that being said, thank you, Andreas. I am not the youngest person here, but I am the youngest person of the two of us. So I'm big on trying to understand questions before I try to answer them. It's said, and Albert Einstein is often quoted erroneously, but it's said that he once said that if he had a question that was so important that he had to stake his life on it, or a problem that he had to solve, he would spend, and he had an hour to solve it, he would spend 55 minutes understanding the question and 5 minutes answering the question. So I tried to break it down a little bit beforehand. I took a sneak peek on Andreas's notes, and the BX, the Barents Euro-Arctic Cooperation's purpose is to promote sustainable development. Okay. The Swedish chair's purpose is regional sustainable development for the future and to increase visibility of what happens here. Our aim then was to find parameters for economic development for the Barents region from a youth perspective. And there are some words here that I think need to be explained a little bit further. What do we mean when we say parameters? A parameter is a constant in mathematics, in terms of mathematics. A constant, that means a number in a process that you can change at will. That means that you have the control and you can change whatever this value is. You could equate that to a political decision. We're going to do this, and that's an analogy for how to think about this in the context of our aim. An economic development, well, that's growth. In what way? What do we mean by growth? A qualitative and quantitative change from one state to a higher state. State of what? Well, of life, quality of life for young people, for everybody in the Barents region. And then, what do we mean with a youth perspective for the future? Well, what do the youth have to contribute? The youth see things that the previous generation think they can see, but they have no idea of. Because you didn't, the people who are old now, and I am one of those people, we didn't grow up in today's world with internet, with mobile phones, with everything. We grew up in a world where those things weren't mainstay or stable. So that's the youth perspective. The young people have grown up in this world. And when they say something, we shouldn't just defer it and like, no, that's just your opinion. No, that is your opinion. But you grew up in this world, so you know what's going to happen in the future. So those are some of the contexts of what we've been working on. Our focus areas, Andreas has been pulling these questions out of our participants. It was difficult to get it started, and then it was like a riptide, and he couldn't get our participants
so
to stop.
So what did you mainly talk about?
Jobs.
Yes. Jobs?
Labor mobility.
Yeah.
Attractive societies and quality of life. These are some of the highlights, or the topics, the main topics where we would summarize everything. And for jobs, somebody mentioned projects with real companies to get young people opportunities to actually get job experience, which will probably influence their possibilities of getting hired. But Andreas asked the question, follow-up, can it be done cross-border? Can someone from Finland come to Sweden and do that? How easy is that? Because we're talking Barents cooperation, because you often think of this in these, yeah, sure we can do it in Sweden, but can we do it towards Russia? Can we do it in Norway? And if not, then what's the point in jobs in a Barents context? I think we can. Labor mobility. How do we match imbalances? For instance, Sweden, huge lack of teachers. Finland, Russia. From what I hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, more teachers.
I can add on when it comes to labor mobility also that we've seen this firsthand. I must say that I've been quite involved with this Arctic Air Link back in the days that helps now facilitate labor mobility to a large extent. Not to the extent we're hoping for, I think we want to have it more. And of course, infrastructure is important when it comes to labor mobility. It's easy to look at the Haparanda-Tornio area when it comes to labor mobility, but when there is this vast distances, we need to have infrastructure that helps support this. That creates labor mobility, and I think we need to feel secure because this is just life. It's it's a very, very big decision in life. Am I going to start working in Tromsø over the weekends? Am I going to work in Oulu? We need to feel secure that this is going to stick around for 3, 4, 5, or maybe 10, or best of all, for all time. There's going to be this ability to get to wherever you want to go. I think it's very important.
We are on a rather tight time schedule, and I want everybody to get the opportunity to
Sorry.
get heard. No, don't worry. It's really nice to hear your thoughts and ideas. But is there anything else that you'd like to add that it's really important that you discussed in the economy group that maybe for the future, what we actually need a short for the future from your economy group, and then we're moving on.
I have one thing. I think it's very important. One of the first thing that one of the younger ones in our group said was that we have to stop talking about the youth as our future. The youth is here now. It's happening now, and we have to change how the Barents region is a place for them now, not for tomorrow, because tomorrow they're not going to be youth anymore, and it's going to go way faster than you think. And also another thing is that the politics shaping the discussion of the Barents region, we see the politics talking about infrastructure, about railroads. It's always, somehow it always comes down to railroads. And, and we're talking about things that can be maybe reality in 20, 30, 40 years from now. And it's very important, and we should continue this discussion. But from the political point of view, we would like to stress that we want politicians who are engaged in what to do next week and next month, and what projects can be implemented during the coming 2 years or so. So more of politics that is made and being concrete, that you can measure the results in 1, 2, 3 or 4 years. That's something I think we all wish for as well. And more railroads as well. So.
Thank you so much. The environment group, how was your discussion during lunch?
Thank you. So our group was relatively, well, we had 42 persons signed up, and we didn't have quite as many, but I think that actually facilitated the discussion quite a lot. We had 3 very active groups. Thank you all for joining the environment group. So the starting point of our theme or our discussion were the priorities of the Swedish chairmanship. So those were divided into 4 themes. The first was natural resources and areas, sustainable use of them actually. Then climate change, adaptation and mitigation, and resilience. The third one was biodiversity and ecosystem services. And the fourth was pollution and hotspots. And these 3 groups discussed these issues while enjoying the delicious salad. And they wrote down some ideas on post-it notes. And afterwards, we put them together and started forming visions together. Unfortunately, we slightly ran out of time, so we didn't get to very concrete suggestions on how to make these visions actually happen. But I think that we found something very, very interesting and something very useful. It very rarely happens that none of the ideas overlap that are presented by, I think we were something like maybe 25 to 30 persons in the room. And now very few ideas overlapped, so we were able to cover a very large variety of aspects. And now when I can open my phone, I will be able to tell you what we came up with. So first about climate change, we came up with 2 visions. First of all, reducing greenhouse gas emissions from transportation. The second one was taking action on climate change related issues, on regionally important adaptation aspects, and of course taking action on mitigation. So there was raising awareness and like taking real action instead of just talking that were included in this bubble. On natural resources related aspects, we really didn't focus on those that much, which was for me slightly surprising. But there were aspects on legislation and the roles of regions versus national states, for instance. And also how climate change may bring some new parasites and other problems for reindeer, for instance. Then on water, there were quite many post-it notes on that. So our vision on water was that we should have pure water for people and fish and other animals. So this was related to possible leakages to waterways. It could be microplastics, and also if there's more tourism than is the capacity of the wastewater management systems, so there could be some problems because of that. Sustainable energy was also addressed. There were 3 papers on that, and the vision formulated was that we should have energy that is good for people and the planet. So I know that this is very, very general, but this was a vision. We didn't really get to very detailed plans. But for instance, solar power was emphasized in this discussion. Then we also talked about waste issues and recycling and circular economy, and formulated a vision as follows. User-friendly recycling also in remote areas, and to have the utilization of this different kinds of waste organized. It could be either markets or it could be the state or both. But this would be very important for us in Barents Region. It could be that there are very long distances that waste is transported even from one country to another.
Yeah.
I'm not finished yet.
Well, that depends on you.
So
maybe Elinor, you would like to add something, or?
Well, I think we came up with some pretty interesting ideas as well. We talked about a lot of things. It was all from artificial intelligence and and virtual reality, and it was on the topic of creating awareness. For example, if you can see a place without being there, that could be pretty cool to see the environmental state. And we also talked about open data. I don't know how it is in the other countries, but in Sweden we work a lot with open environmental data. And if we could have a transnational database with environmental data, that would be a pretty cool tool to work with. Yeah.
Sounds like you had some really great ideas, and also cool that you get to work with visions. That's really inspiring. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Oh, I don't know. It's such a huge subject to to discuss over lunch. I don't know. It was a lot to cover, and we talked also about a little bit about transportation and energy, and it's important to not only think about the climate, but also what other effects it could have on the environment to build a railway or to have a lot of wind power. There are a lot of aspects we need to cover. We need to discuss this further. Yeah,
definitely.
And one of those was related to indigenous peoples. For instance, how would the Arctic Railway influence Sami population, or even wind power? And this is also related to tourism in the sense that sometimes when talking about these railways, it's mainly the transportation of natural resources that is discussed, but also there should be opportunities for passenger transportation in these aspects. But yeah, I was personally very pleased with the discussion and for all the viewpoints that were brought up by the participants. So thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you. And in this room, we had some talk about social dimension.
We did.
Yeah. So pass on the microphone. You have
Thank you.
some conclusions from your
Yes, we had.
discussion.
I just first want to say we had a very good discussion. We had a very active group, and I want to say thank you to all who participated. We could have went on for a long time.
Yeah, I had to interrupt you, be like,
Yeah,
clear the room.
And you know how it is with the social group. We are social. And it's also kind of dangerous because we started off a little bit with definitions. What is sustainability? What is development? What is the definition of youth? But we actually put that behind us to reach somewhere. And following the instructions, we have singled out a few items that we found particularly important and interesting. Linus will tell you the first two.
All right.
Thank
we
you.
started out our discussions on the subject of exchange projects, different kinds of exchange projects. To have school children or whole classes actually go and visit regions abroad will probably be very beneficial. And we talked about the merit to have people actually living at families, with families from the other country, to learn about their history, their culture, their traditions, There was actually a suggestion that the regional history and the history of the other regions, except for one's own, should perhaps be part of the curriculum actually for young students to learn not only our national history but also the history of the regional context that we live in and our neighbors. And that is really a peace project. It's really important for us to get closer on not just on like economic or that kind of level, but also on a level where we understand each other. So we started out the discussions there, and then we kind of slipped over to talk more about the need for internship programs, which kind of a crossover here with the economy group, that people need to get into the labor market to get experience, and we felt that it was really important to have internship programs that really took persons from other countries to learn here, or we send people over to them. Also that the idea to create incubators or startup nodes to really get the entrepreneurial spirits that actually exist in the region, but also to get to the high tech and the green energy and this kind of that we have people that want to do this and they can do this and they have the ambition to do this, and we should help them, and we should have mentorship programs to help people get going, actually get a start. So that is kind of the first two issues we talked about.
And there are two more following that. We took a starting point in the fact that the Barents is a region, and the people in the Barents region have many things in common, and we can use them for synergies and for beneficial purposes, of course. We ask ourselves, is there a Barents identity? Is there a need for a Barents identity? There are certainly challenges. But what there is, and even if we were not supposed to discuss economy that very much, the Barents region is also a market. And we believe that playing the cards right can offer opportunities for people who want to do business if we can stabilize the Barents region as a solid market. And there are, of course, incitements for that. There are also problems, one might say, with the borders, of course, not only for trade but for people. And it must be allowed to have a more or less wild idea of a Barents passport or something that can make it easier for people and goods to cross the borders for different purposes, of course. We ended up with a discussion on where we want to go. Visions are important, but precision is also important. And we agreed, I think, that there is a need for better precision in telling ourselves and others where we want to go and where we want to end. What is the desired state of the Barents region? If we can form that and agree upon it, it will be much easier to navigate towards it. And with monitoring and observing, see if we keep on track or if we lose direction. And that is extremely important. And it needs then exact action too. Not only words. Action speaks louder than words. And we discussed the need, the solid need for gender equality, for everything that came out of the Me Too movement, and how to implement that in all the different parts of the Barents. We discussed the need for improved education compatibility. It must be easier to have credits accepted from Russia to Scandinavia and the other way around. It must be easier to enter the labor market, to have your education accepted in more than one country. We discussed the need for proper compensation for the participation of youth, not least. We expect the youth to come here because it's fun. It is fun, but most of us are compensated already for being here. The youth are not. There is a need for a better equality there. That includes the indigenous people's representatives many times too. And we agreed that the people in the Barents region want a better and improved fate control. That means a better opportunity to build a future here. And that might take that we ask the capitals not to take away all the winnings that they get from the resources in the north. Let some of them stay in the north to assist us to develop the Barents region to one of the best places in the world to live in.
I think that summarizes everything. Everything from economy to environment to social. Don't you think? That was really strong words, Peter. Thank you so much. Thank you also, all of you, for joining this lunch and for helping us to get these discussions. I hope that it was also really nice for all of you that participated to really get into it, to be forced to discuss, right? That's a good thing sometimes. Johan Berglund, Andreas Sköld, Lind. Sköld. So many names. Andreas Lind, Ilona Mettiainen, Elinor Bomark, Peter Sköld there. There's the Sköld. And Linus Lundström. Thank you so much for your help and participation. You can hold that against me. And Lisa, will you please, yes, give our guests some gifts. How are you? One response. How are you? Fine. All right. So we are about to close this conference, actually, with a short conclusion from both of our days. So we started off yesterday with a dinner, and one of the things that I really thought was thoughtful from yesterday was Anton Landehag from the Swedish Youth Barometer, that he talked about. So they make these polls and research with youth behavior and identity. And one of the things that they really saw was that the youth is more committed than ever before when it comes to politics and when it comes to society. So we can really use this in a way to move forward, use that commitment. This also, he also talked about communication, internet, Wi-Fi, how this also helps us stay connected. It creates new opportunities to hang out, to work, to get to know each other, to build relationship. We have long distances in our region, and with the digitalization, hard word, we actually shorten those distances, right? Yeah.
This is very opportunistic, but I'm doing my PhD and need to...
Oh, the microphone is not on. I don't know if... Yeah, now, maybe. Yeah.
This is very opportunistic, but I'm doing my PhD and I need GIS data, geographic information system, this digital open share data you're saying, and it's very difficult to access to Russian data.
Maybe we can talk about that when we finish the conference. Is that okay?
Yeah,
okay.
If I say it here.
Yeah,
maybe.
Thank you. I'm going to do a conclusion now, and then we can, if there's anything else that you'd like to address, you can come to me later.
Instagram contest.
Yes, I'm coming to that. You can't wait, can you? You've posted like 20 pictures. I know that. We're coming for it. So I thought that the dinner was really nice, and it was good to see all of you talking together. You wanted to stay when I said you're free to go, and that's a good sign. Network, getting to know each other, build relationships. This morning, we started off with Minister Anna Ekström talking a lot about the visibility of the Barents region and the organization and the people. And I think that we need to be louder. So I come from Stockholm, and all of my friends in Stockholm have never heard of the Barents region. We need to be louder, and we need to show everybody else that we exist and that we are driven, and that I think that Andreas, you said, or was it? Oh, it was some of you that talked about Oh, sorry, I lost it. Never mind. First time I lost it during these 2 days. Sköld, or what was it? I don't know. Anyway, we were also, for the opening speeches, talking a lot about education, mental health issues, transport, obviously, the social media, which is something that we both love, but it also is challenging, both with integrity. We cannot forget, integrity is super important to treasure and to value what you post, how you present yourself. And we also talked about bullying that follows you everywhere. So we have to be aware. As much as social media helps us connect, we also have to really take responsibility and care for each other. We talked about the fact that Barents Region is a unique structure when it comes to the Barents Cooperation. This is something that really offers unique possibilities for all of us in this region. Katarina, you said, can we live here? Can we live here? How can we live here? Talking about what we need to do, what we need to work with forward. There is work and transport, two big things. Socially also, of course. We are a social generation. For the panel this morning, we talked about a lot of things. Transport, one of the main things. Business and people. Where, with what do we need? Do we need closer collaboration and connection, networks between university and the employers, company and society? We need to work together to get closer together. Reach out a hand, be a mentor, engage someone that you don't know in these issues. Yes, create networks, mentorships. That's really important. And for the final discussion now, the wrap-up from the lunch discussion, one of the keys were pass the power on. I think that was a great one. The youth is here and the youth is now. So we can't talk about tomorrow or the future or how we need to work this online or create networks, because that is happening right now. So moving from now, the youth is now. Right? With environment, we had a lot of great visions. Talking about recycle, we were talking about sustainable energies that is good for the people and also the climate. Solar power, we have a lot going on here. Huge companies like LKAB, SSAB also taking a lot of responsibility when it comes to sustainable, vad heter det? Det med, sustainable transportation and development. Yeah. So this is really exciting. There's a lot going on, and the big companies, I feel, are really on right track. So this is a very exciting change that is coming up. Finally, we talked a little bit about exchange programs, internships, cross-borders. We need to make this easier. We need to make it easier, like administrative easier. So that I can take my scores as a student in Sweden and just apply them in Russia and the other way around. So just make these things easier so that it's not a problem if I want to study somewhere else, or make the administrative part as small as possible. I also thought that, Peter, you had such nice conclusions there about the Barents identity and talking about these visions that we have, and we also need a precision. We need the precise way. We need to actually set a goal that we can reach. So maybe that is the next step for us, right? To set some precise goals and then check out halfway. Where are we? What do we need to do? What path are we on now? Wow! What a day today and yesterday. How are you feeling? Great? Tired or super excited to go change the world? So, a lot of cards. No, I have to change cards. I have a little bit something for the end that I want to share with you. Nej, det kanske jag inte alls har. Jo, där. The conclusions, everything that we've talked about in this conference, it will not just stay here. So we will take care of it. It will be taken forward and discussed in the Barents Euro-Arctic Working Group and further developed into recommendations. So all your hard work will pay off. That feels good. The newly re-established Joint Working Group on Youth will coordinate the process. The Swedish chairmanship will, based on these recommendations, then define future strategic priorities to be presented at the ministerial meeting in the second half of 2019, at the same time that we deliver the chairmanship over to Norway. That's about that. Now the Instagram contest that you are so excited about. Lisa, can you please help me with that? So talking about Get Social, we did have an Instagram contest for today, and you have chosen a winner.
Yes. So I just want to say a few words. First, we talk a lot about increasing the visibility of the Barents region and raising awareness, engaging more people into knowing where we are, who we are. And I firmly believe that the key to increasing this visibility is through the modern technology and social media. And I also think that youth, the new generation, is the group that's sort of the expert on this technology right now, and that we need to always look to the youth and seek their help in this. So that was the background for the idea of having this Instagram contest. And we have gotten we've gotten a lot of suggestions here. Actually, we got 36 from the latest now. So 36 pictures in total with the hashtag Barents Youth. And it was very difficult to judge who is the best, who took the best picture. So since we're talking about engagement, and in social media, engagement is measured in the number of likes. So I decided that the number of likes will decide the winner. And unfortunately, I'm not able to show the picture on the screen, but the picture that got the highest number of likes, which was 141 likes.
That's really good.
Yeah, was taken by Elisa Lahtinen from Oulu Business School. Now, I didn't see her in the hall right now. Is she sitting here? Yes, that's what I thought. But is there anyone who can bring the present to Elisa? Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So give a big applause for the winner.
Thank you so much. And I also want to say thank you to you for your commitment and also for your beautiful work with Border. So it's Lisa that made this one for us. So thank you. With that said, it's been a pleasure to join you for today and for yesterday afternoon. If you have any questions or want to discuss anything else with me, I'm more than happy to talk to you. My name is Malin Winberg, and I'm very happy to once again introduce our Youth Minister, Anna Ekström, to close up this conference. Thank you so much. Ja, du kan ta en av dem, ja. Jättebra.
Thank you very much. Do you hear me now? Is this on? Thank you very, very much. And believe me, it's been a truly wonderful day to listen to all the interesting and eager and interesting and eager and impatient and sometimes very visionary words from the participants. We have been discussing the opportunities and the challenges for the Barents cooperation, and for me this has been a truly wonderful day, as I already said. We started by hearing from Sergei very clearly, but also from the EU representative, that the Barents cooperation, the work we do here is something which the rest of the world is looking at with eagerness and with envy. We are doing something really good, worth doing up here when we are connecting people across borders. And we should be very careful of that. We should take care of this. But in taking care of this, I think it's wonderful to hear that you are so impatient. You want more. The discussions today have been about using this as a platform and adding value. And when you have discussed added value, you have been very forward-looking, sometimes visionary, sometimes extremely practical. You've talked about the need for internship. That's something that we, from the ministerial level, work with every day in order to make that work better in our different economies. Very, very important. You talked about the need to make sure that a degree or from another country can be easily used in Luleå, even if the degree comes from Luleå or from Murmansk. I can tell you that this is not always easy when the degree is from Stockholm to use it in Luleå. That's also something we need to work with in a very practical way. But you also talked about very, very visionary ideas. And I think that was what I will bring back to my daily life from this meeting. The need to be visionary and very practical at the same time. I go home from here with a with my sort of feeling very comfortable and safe that you, young persons in the Barents area, are fully capable of making sure that the Barents area will be a prosperous place for young persons. And I'm also very sure that you will do it now. You will not wait for future generations to take care of this. You will do it. And I promise you that we will do our best to help you and give you the best possible conditions. And I take good comfort in the fact that the reason that we have built this Barents cooperation 25 years ago is that we want to promote peace and stability in our region. And that firm basis is really something worth building on. So thank you very, very much for a fantastic day, and thank you, Malin, for your wonderful work as a moderator. And thank you all participants, but most of all, thank you young persons who took part in this conference. Thank you.